Hi, everybody. This is Advocate Lucinda, your empowerment lawyer. I had a number of people contact me and ask me questions about the amended complaint, when and how to amend. So this video is going to be about that topic. So let's get started. And I want to encourage people who feel like they have a claim with merits. File a lawsuit. I am a civil rights attorney. It's not about revenge, but it's about justice. So in filing your lawsuit, though, make sure that you're following the rules of law, okay? And so that is one of the reasons why I do these videos, because most people, particularly pro se individuals, they have a challenging time. For me, as a 27-year litigation attorney, it's difficult. I can imagine the difficulty for someone who does not know the ins and out of the law and the filing. So this is for you. So let me recap. When you file your lawsuit, your complaint, it must accompany the civil cover sheet. Okay, just remember that and fill that civil cover sheet out completely. Now, why do we amend the complaint? For various reasons. One, to correct errors, right? We all make errors, and thankfully, the court system allows us to amend to correct errors, to include material that you left out when you initially filed the complaint. And particularly when you file your complaint on the last day that it is ready to be filed by the statute of limitations, sometimes you file it just to get the document on record to beat the statute of limitations. And so you can always go back and include information that you previously left out. Then, of course, to remove material, right? It happens. The Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 15 amended complaints. Please read that rule. Now, when do you file the complaint? 1, 21 days after the complaint is served. That's when you can file the amended complaint, or you have up to 21 days to file the amended complaint after the original complaint is served on the defendant. Now, as a reminder, I am a plaintiff's attorney. So my videos come from the plaintiff's perspective, as is this video, okay? Or you serve the amended complaint 21 days after the response is served. The defendant's response, right? Federal Rules Civil Procedure 15A-B, okay? Or you filed the amended complaint within 21 days after the motion to dismiss is served. We call it the 12B motion. And I can guarantee you that the defense attorney will 99% of the time file a motion to dismiss. Now, remember, the grounds for filing a motion to dismiss is that the plaintiff has failed to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. At least that is what the defendant is arguing. Okay? Otherwise, you must seek leave to amend your complaint. On the following page, I demonstrate with a sample how the leave to amend is constructed. So let's go. All right, so here we have a sample of a motion for leave to amend. Now, in this case, the parties consented to the motion for leave to amend. Now, of course, you need to make a good faith effort to resolve a dispute against filing an amended complaint. Now, approach opposing counsel, ask if they will consent. If they don't, then you file a motion for leave to amend a complaint without the word consent. And you make your argument as to why the court should grant you leave to amend your complaint. Now, the rule is that the court must be generous in allowing or permitting a motion for leave to amend the complaint, absent opposing counsel giving permission. Okay, but at any rate, this is just a sample. So let's look at the outline and the substantive material that would be included in your motion for leave. So you have your caption, whatever the caption started or however that caption started when you file your complaint is going to remain the same, of course, unless you amended the complaint and added a part or whatever the case may be. But otherwise, it's going to be the same. So you have the caption, the parties, you have motion for leave to amend, assuming it's not a consent. And even if it's a consent, you would still do the motion, but it would be consent motion. And the court would love to see that. And you start by referring to the rule that permits you to receive this right to amend your complaint based on the rules, on the 15 rules of Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. And of course, cite whatever the local law is in your district. And of course, the motion goes on. Plaintiffs introduce themselves, where they are. They just give a little background information leading up to why they're requesting leave to amend the complaint. And then they go further and state under Rule 15A2 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, a party may amend its pleading if the opposing party consents to the amendment in writing. Okay? Yes, the court knows the law, but you still need to recite the law. Okay? And they cite cases. Always cite cases to support your request. Okay? Make your argument. Date the document. Sign it. Don't forget the certificate of service. Okay? Pretty simple, huh? Okay. Now remember, you have 90 days to serve the defendant with the complaint. Why am I reminding you of this? 90 days. That gives you some time to review your complaint, to determine that you have included everything, that you have all of the information that you need to complete this process, filing the complaint and serving the defendant. Take your time, but just remember that you have 90 days. Now, in addition to that, let's say that you serve the defendant on the 80th day, and I don't recommend that. I recommend that you get them served as early as possible. But let's just say that you serve the defendants on the 80th day. Well, the 21-day rule still applies. So there's some time there. But the idea is to get the defendant served timely. Okay? Next time, I want to talk about the relation back doctrine. This doctrine, it relates to the amendment of the complaint, an amendment to a pleading or a complaint that relates back to the date of your initial complaint filing. Okay? In other words, the statute of limitations has run, but because your amended complaint and the activity in the amended complaint relates back to your original complaint, then an amended complaint is allowed. That's also found at Federal Rule Civil Procedure 15. All right, Advocate Lucinda, your empowerment lawyer. Until next time, empower yourself. Take care.